Welcome to the live stream. And now it's time for the Business Owners Spotlight Series.
Oh, hey everybody. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. How are you doing? I say good morning because I'm always just waking up. It's a midnight shift joke. It's an inside joke for midnight workers. I say good morning all the time because it's a typical greeting. So anyhow, how's everybody doing today? Welcome to the channel. Welcome to 40 Entrepreneur Drive. I'm so glad that you were able to make it. It is Friday, and if you did not know already, Fridays are the dedicated days that I'm going to be featuring guests for my B.O.S. series, which is the Business Owners Spotlight series. And today I will be speaking with another creative entrepreneur. I had a creative on before. I have another creative entrepreneur on today. My guest is the proprietor of a studio based out of Atlanta, Georgia, called Noir 3000, which by his own description is a one-stop creative shop specializing in the best of photography, graphic design, and illustration, as well as hair, makeup, and wardrobe styling for personal needs. And the motto of this company is quality over quantity. Can you dig it? I'm going to be putting the contact information in the description box alongside the website information, so make sure that you check that out after the fact. And without further ado, I do believe he is available. Can you hear me, sir? Are you ready to come on? I think I see him there in the background, so I think he's ready. If you were here in the beginning, you saw the website pop up. And on that website, that was actually his website, so you can go check that website out after the fact. Let's see. And here we go right here. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Awesome. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is my guest for today, Mr. James C.LEWIS.
Hello, everyone.
Pardon? Go ahead.
I was just telling everyone hello.
Oh, sorry about that. I didn't mean to cut you off. If you have been following some of my latest social media posts, you will see, or you should have known, to Google him, look at some of his work if you don't already know what it is, what it consists of. And if not, then you can go check out, like I said, those websites and contact information in the description box. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to talk to me.
No problem.
It's crazy how we connected because I saw your work. Originally, I had reached out to you through Facebook Messenger. I told you what I was doing in terms of one of my other channels, which is reading the Bible every day. I came across an image of Jezebel. It was a black Jezebel. My interest was piqued. I reached out to you, told you what I was intending to do. We had a conversation, and then you obliged to come on to the channel. So thank you so much.
No problem.
All right, let's see. I'm going to be hopefully not ducking down too much, but I've got notes, both notes from our conversation and also on a Google Doc that I'm going to be going over to hit some of the highlights and make sure I get all this covered. And for you guys watching on the live chat, put your questions, if you have any, in the chat. And if there's time permitting, I will try to get to them at the end. Let's see. I've got you down as Atlanta, Georgia. Your industry, would you consider your industry the fine arts industry? Because that's what I have down on my notes here. Fine arts industry, specializing in photography, graphic design, illustration, personal style.
Absolutely. You could say that.
All right. Let you introduce yourself because I've got tons of questions, but let you have the floor right now if there's anything in specific that you want people to know about you and what you do and who you are. Ooh. I think we are buffering on his side. Let's see.
Okay.
You buffered just for a second. I was saying, if you would you like to introduce yourself a little bit more in depth or tell people what it is that you do and a little bit about your industry? Oh, and it looks like we have another bad connection. Yeah, we got a bad connection. I think he may be on the move. He may be on the move, ladies and gentlemen. So while we're waiting for him to while we're waiting for him to reconnect, you got some buffering going on. You're on the move. Are you in some hot spots, some dead zones?
Yes, I'm driving, so um,
All right. What I'm going to do while we're waiting for that connection to clear up, I'm actually going to go over some more of the questions that I've got. If he can hear them, I'll have him respond to them. But I'll let you guys know a little bit about what's going on. So the studio name is Noir 3000, and if you guys don't know, Noir is, I believe, a French word for black, dark.
black.
Okay, 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 we got you now. Tell us a little bit more about your studio, like specifically, why did you choose that name? Interesting.
Okay, well, of course, I chose noir because I wanted something to represent my, my race. Because, as you can see, I'm black. um, and the 3000 came from Andre 3000. He's one of my favorite music artists, and he's very out of the box, over the top. And I tend to be that way when it comes to my work. I'm very out of the box, over the top. You could say I'm very innovative. So I would say that I'm a mixture between Andre 3000 and Pablo Picasso.
Wow, I can dig it. I'm seeing that. I'm seeing that definitely. All right, let me get to my other set of questions here. Let's see. Let's talk about excuse me, let's talk about how you got started. Did you always create in this type of fashion? Were you always a photographer, or what? How long have you been doing this? When did you get started?
Well, I was somewhat of a child prodigy. I started drawing at the age of 2. So my mom noticed early on that I had a talent for drawing, but she was like, "You can't draw in books. I have to get you some pads, a sketch pad." So
Ah,
she bought me a sketch pad when I was little, and and I was just drawing everything. And when I was maybe about 9, because my dad used to take pictures a lot for a lot of family events and stuff. He wasn't a professional photographer, but he loved photography.
yeah.
With me being a kid, you would ask your parent, "Hey, let me take a picture. Let me take a picture." And he started letting me take pictures, and he was like, this. So by the time I was, shooting weddings and events, and um, it just became something that was, uh, I guess you would say, pretty much a good niche for me. And I just kept going with it. Once I graduated from high school, I attended the Art Institute of Atlanta, and I first majored in visual communications. And the rest is kind of history.
Okay. I was gonna ask about any type of training that you had, but I didn't know about the child prodigy part. Like it basically was an innate talent of yours, but you went for schooling to refine it and to maybe
Yes,
see which direction you want to take it.
absolutely. Um, my dad was also artistically inclined. My dad used to draw when he was little. But of course, during his era, they didn't think drawing was a real job, because when I graduated from high school, they were just like, you really need to find a career that's like a real job. And I was like, that is a real job. But through time, my parents, before they passed, they realized that, oh wow, he did pick a great field, because I had a lot of cousins and siblings that they attended college and they never worked a day in their field.
Wow.
And I
Okay. All
always
right.
worked in my field.
Okay. So would you say that your father was your biggest influence? Your mother encouraged you to do the drawing, but you said your father was actually the hobbyist photographer. So who would you say is your biggest
I
influence, or
would
maybe is it
say,
somebody else?
yeah, I would say my mother was my biggest influence.
Okay.
My mother, she she always pushed me. She was the first to notice my talent when I was little. Because she saw me drawing over things. And even when I was in school, the teachers would come by and I would be doodling on the side of my paper, and they said, "Did you trace that?" And I said, "No, I drew it." And they were like, "Well, let me give you another piece of paper. Can you draw it again?" And I was like, "Yeah." So I would draw it again, and they were like, they told my parents, he really has a a God-given talent for drawing, because he draws far beyond um the skill set of children of his age.
What?
Um, yeah.
You remind me of a schoolmate of mine, and sort of he's in your industry, but different realm. His name is Corey D. Jenkins, and he specializes in interior design. Uh, he does a lot, but your story reminds me of him
Okay.
because even in elementary school, we would look at him and be like, "Wow, draw this now, draw that," and it was part of his essence. It was really who he was. So it's no surprise that he turned out the way he is, and I'm sure with your family, it's no surprise that you turned out doing what you're doing. What? Awesome, awesome.
Wow.
Let me look into my next set of questions. So I was going to ask about training. You already talked about that. You went to a school specializing in arts. My daughter is actually enrolled in a similar type of school. She's also into art and wants to do something with that career-wise. So I'm going to be making sure that I encourage her. When did you start your actual business? Well, let me rephrase that because I've got another question here. How did you know that what you were doing was not just a hobby and that you wanted to make it a business?
Okay. When I was in the sixth grade, we had career day at school, and there was a young black illustrator that came in to speak with us. Now, why would y'all block out the way? Becky, hold on just 1 second. I'm out driving, so
All
kind
right.
of
Be
gotta
safe.
maneuver
First
through
and
these
foremost, be
people.
safe.
Stop.
Matter of fact,
Oh,
if you would
yes.
like, we could pick this up in a little while because people already know that we're going to be here. If it's better for you, we can
Oh,
pull
no,
out
no, no,
and come
no,
back
no, no,
later.
no. We're
Okay,
Oh, no, no, no. We're
because I
we're
want
we're
you to
good
be
right
safe.
now.
This channel will be here.
Yeah.
I want to make sure you're safe.
Oh, no, no. Oh, no. We're good. I'm actually, I've made it to a destination and I'm parking. So
Oh, cool, cool. Very good,
now
very
we
good.
can really talk. Okay. So great.
My
Okay.
highlighted question where we left off, how did you know that
hmm
it was not just a hobby? Because there's a lot of people that draw, sketch, shoot photos, etc. as a hobby. How did you know it was not just a hobby and it's something you want to make into a career?
Well, when I was in the sixth grade, we had career day at school, and there was this young black illustrator. They were called visual artists at that time,
Mm-hmm.
and he came to the school, and he was telling us about what he did, and it was just so fascinating. All my classmates, they were just like, "Hey, you could do that. You could do that because you draw like him."
Mm-hmm.
So it was one of those things that sparked a fire in me from sixth grade. So from sixth grade until I graduated, I always knew that I wanted to be.
Oh, got buffering. Got buffering. You cut out right when you said you knew at the age of sixth grade.
Okay. I knew at the age from grade on up until I graduated, I knew that I wanted to be an illustrator.
What age did you actually start your business?
I was 31 when I started my business in 2008.
Oh, okay.
So I worked in corporate America for 10 years. because I graduated from college in '98, and I worked from '98 until, oh God,
You're a little bit few years ahead of me. I got graduated from '98, and that's where you cut off. I'm gonna highlight some of these
mhm.
comments while I'm waiting for that connection to reestablish itself. To Nicole, I'm just giving a quick shout out to the people in the chat while I'm waiting for us to reconnect, because I don't have a connection with you at this moment. To Nicole, welcome. To Eva Frazier, welcome. To the Wiz, welcome. To Dual Bot, welcome. To Arlinda Dorsey, welcome. To Snoop C or Snooze Co, welcome. And to anybody else that's coming in, welcome, welcome. We're just waiting for this connection to get reestablished. I hear you, but the visual is frozen. Oh, I think he's gone. I'm gonna wait for him to come back in. But ladies and gentlemen, while I'm waiting for him to reconnect, I'm gonna make sure that I send him that link again. Technology is a wonderful thing, but you can't depend on it 100%. So give me 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to make sure that I can get my guest back on. And he was actually gracious enough to oblige me with this time. There was a slight miscommunication because we are in different time zones. And so he was actually supposed to be on a half an hour later, or well, from now, he's supposed to be on an hour later from where we were. And when I caught up with him, he went ahead and obliged and got on while he was there. So we're just having a few technical difficulty right now, but it doesn't matter because I'm just happy that he granted me this time, because he's a very busy man, very important man. All right, let's see about getting this back. While I am reconnecting with him, I'm going to give you guys this. Oh, there he goes. He's back. I don't need to send it to you. I thought I had to send you the link again. I was looking for the phone number. Okay. So I was just giving a quick rundown and letting people know there's a time difference. Right now you are in Atlanta, Georgia, right? And I'm
I am.
in Texas. So there was a slight miscommunication with the time difference. I'm just happy that he obliged me to come on now, because he was actually supposed to be on an hour from the date that was scheduled. So no worries, and I'm so happy that you did do that.
No problem.
Age, you said you were 31 when you started your business?
I was 31.
Okay. How hard was that? Either being, starting off at the bottom of the rung, being inexperienced. Well, I wouldn't say you would be inexperienced, but still, how was that starting off as a new Black man?
Well, um, to be honest with you, I got laid off. So I wasn't planning to start a business. Um, it was just one of those things where I got laid off, and I said, hey, let's see how this. Um, it was just something that was just kind of like side money. So when I got laid off, I was like, well, let's see if I can pick up the clientele. And I, slowly but surely I did. And the next thing you know, I was in business.
Oh, and that was going to be my next question. Like, how do you start a studio? To me, that seems like just a huge endeavor. Like, that's something that George Lucas Studios and all these big folks do. Like, how do regular people do this?
Well, it's to me, it's not that difficult. It's like they say, it's nothing to it but to do it. So if you have no other, if you have no other options but to sink or swim, because I had to pay my bills,
Mm.
so I had to grind. I had to make it do what it do. So it wasn't so much of being hard in my mind as it was, it was sink or swim. So I had to make it work.
Mm. How was that process when you went to make, excuse me, how was that process when you made your business official, as far as registering it, structuring yourself, and what structure did you choose and why did you choose it? As far as sole proprietor, LLC, how was that process for you?
I'm back.
It's buffering. It's buffering. You guys in the live chat, be patient, take notes, listen to the man. Even though we're having some technical issues, listen to what he's saying. And if there's any questions, put those in the chat and I'll make sure that I'll go back over those. All right, while we're buffering, I'm going to go back to the chat and look at some of these questions. Snooze Code says, do you photograph landscapes or animals or just people? And Nicole asks, what type of photography do you do? Most of his photography is models. I'll let him answer that question when he comes back on. Let's see. Linda Dorsey says, Picasso, yes. The Wiz says, are you still on? I cannot hear. Yes, we are on. I believe everybody can hear us well. And you may need to adjust your volume or maybe go out of the stream and come back in. Let's see. Nicole says, what made you want to be an artist? And I think that was one of the older questions. He did answer that one already. Let me get him back in here. I'm going through this chat here while I'm waiting for you to reconnect. Nicole, we did answer that question already. And okay, yeah. Starting that studio up, you said you were laid off. It was sink or swim. It's not nothing to it but to do it. And yeah, my last question was as far as your business structure, LLC, sole proprietor. That's for how did you structure yourself, and what made you choose that?
Pretty much for starters.
As a creative entrepreneur,
I started out. Um,
oh, and we're cutting out again.
can you hear me now?
I hear you say, can you hear me now? But the connection is a little poor. You will come on and then it'll go right back out. And you're frozen. And you're moving. Okay, I do see that you're moving there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, while we wait for that connection to reconnect, I just want to remind you who we are talking to. If you are just now coming into the chat, my guest for today is Mr. James C.LEWIS. He is the creator, he's the proprietor of a studio based out of Atlanta, Georgia called Noir 3000. I didn't actually get into the specifics of it, but we will be talking a little bit later. He's actually the creator of a beautiful photo series called Icons of the Bible. I encourage you to check that out after the live chat as well. I think we are back. Got you back?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, we're back again. Why did you choose your business structure? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, okay. Why did you choose your specific business structure for your studio?
Nope, we're breaking up again.
Uh-oh.
Say that one more time. I think we're breaking up again.
Why did you choose your particular business structure? S Corp, C Corp, LLC, or sole proprietor? Why did you choose that?
I chose LLC. And like I said, I chose it because a lot of my other friends who had went in business for themselves, they, had set their business up along those lines, and they kind of helped me with mine. So that's the route that I went.
Let's
Mhm.
see. Let me go through. As a creative entrepreneur, what things do you specifically do to protect your work? Now, you and I, we actually had a phone conversation at the start of this week when I was asking you about icons of the Bible, and you gave me a set of guidelines of what I could and could not do. How do you
Mhm.
create your work? Excuse me, how do you protect your work?
Um,
How do you protect your work
okay. Okay.
as a
Well,
creator?
pretty much. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was
That
just
was the
finishing
remainder
my
of your
sentence.
question.
I read that word out of order. How do you protect your work as a creator? Is what I was saying.
Okay. Well, pretty much, I do have an attorney, and it's one of those things where a lot of people that follow my work and support my work, they will make it their business if someone is sharing my work to notify them this is the artist. Um, and if they see something somewhere, they'll send it to me just for me to handle if it's something that I need to have taken down or whatever the case may be. But it's about having an attorney in place so that you can protect your work. So
Mm,
that's the short answer.
okay. So does that have to do with copyright, trademark, licensing? I just have notes surrounding this particular question. Copyright, your work is copyrighted. Your name, I'm
Hmm.
assuming your name and the name of your series is trademarked.
Yes, yes,
And you told me specifically if you want to use it for non monetizing purposes, I could use it. You told me specifically do not
yes.
modify my work. Why is that important?
Because I don't believe in people making money off of my back. It's not fair of me to put something together and then someone else is making the money off of it. It's almost like bad record deals. You have an artist that signs a bad record deal and then they sign away their publishing and their masters, and someone else is collecting money for all the hard work that they put in. And I just will not be ripped off for something that I created.
Mm, mm.
Mhm.
Would you consider your business in the startup phase, maintenance? Are you scaling? What does that look like?
I would say I'm still scaling, because my company has been around now for 12 years. So I would say, I'm still in the scaling stage. I'm not at the zenith just yet.
Let's see. I remember we talked about telling our story or telling your story. Let's see. As far as the modification, you answered that. Taking control of your own story and telling it. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Because as far as the icons of the Bible that I specifically found you under, why was it important for you to make? And let me back up. For people who don't know already, if you haven't Googled it already, it's the Bible. Y'all know I read the Bible every morning on my other channel. It's the Bible. What images are you familiar with? I'm talking to the audience now. What images are you familiar with when you flip through your picture Bibles, look at other things in church, whatnot, and how has that influenced your belief system or how you feel about yourself? We talked about this on the phone, and that influenced your work, did it not, Mr. Lewis? Why did you make Black Jesus? Why did you make Black characters and minorities the source and the representation of your photo series?
Because I think it's important for people of color to see themselves in the scriptures and throughout history. Because for so long we've been whitewashed. So we don't have the representation of diversity that I feel is needed. Instead of complaining, then we can change it. And seeing as where I am a photographer, I felt that was something that I could do. So I took it upon myself to pick up the ball and run with it. So be the change that you want to see.
Mhm. We also talked about how you didn't just have a hand in the wardrobe, you designed the wardrobe. Why didn't you just have an outside
Yes.
source create the wardrobe for those models for your series?
Um, I didn't have an outside source because I personally felt like they could not do um, what I per se wanted them to do exactly. I know exactly how I wanted each look to be. So I felt that it was important for me to express that with each design. And seeing as where I have that background, um, I felt it would be better for me to be hands on with that so it could give that authentic look and not look, costumey or, just look like something that, someone got from Party City for Halloween.
Mm. So
Yeah.
most of your creative work comes from your hands, comes from you, but you do get
Yes.
help because I think you told me you have a friend helping you with some editing. I know when I'm editing my videos, I'm very particular about it. How do you make that decision on what you want to get help with as far as getting help with editing and anything else?
Well, that's not for my series. That's for just like some, manual work that I'm doing that I may send out and have some friends to edit for me just to get caught up. With my series, I'm hands on. I'm the only one that touched that.
Your passion
So
project.
it's from me from conception to completion. With the series, that's totally me.
Mm,
Hmm.
okay. So in general, how edited do you think you need to be? Would you consider yourself a perfectionist?
Oh, definitely, definitely, absolutely, 100%. I did tell you I was a Scorpio, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Okay,
big
so
time
being a
perfectionist.
perfectionist.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying big time perfectionist for sure.
Okay, so being a perfectionist, you like your things to be a certain way. You are a creative.
Hmm.
How do you balance being a creative with managing a business? Because I've been doing a little bit of research and I've been talking to some other people. It can be hard as a creative because
Hmm.
you want to create, but you still have to manage that
Yeah.
business or it's not going to be a business. How do you balance those two things?
Well, in that regard, I do have some help in those areas because
Mm,
I do have an accountant. Um, I do have a person that helps me to market. So it's like having a team. You know what I'm saying? I still have a team. So to go back to the topic of my different series and working with those, I do have hairstylists and makeup artists and different people that do come in to assist. So it's not just completely me hands on. So the outfits and the costumes and most of the male makeup I do myself, but the female makeup and the hair and stuff like that, I will have a team to come in that I work with to help out with that. But for the most part, I am the creative director, so it's still under my direction.
creative director. That's another question on my other list of
Hmm.
what would be the title you would give yourself in your
Hmm.
establishment. Creative director?
Yeah, I mean, I'm the CEO, creative director. So
Okay.
yeah.
I think when a lot of people start a small business or start out just in business in general, they have this feeling that they have to do it all by themselves, all
Hmm.
by themselves. I talked about this with one of my previous guests, and that's just not so. So,
Yeah.
how do you make the decision between? How do you personally make the decision between what you will do yourself and, excuse me, what you will allow others to do in that team?
Well, the job of a person that is the creative director is to basically dictate how everything will run. But at the self same time, you have people in place that will assist you. So it's not a matter of because you can't do everything yourself. So, that's like with me. I can't manage things. I can't manage, all the monies and, setting things up. So I have people in place to help me with that. But at the self same time, it's like I still have a direction that I want to go. So it's kind of like the job of the people that are helping me to know that, okay, this is the direction that I want to take. And then we go from there. And that's how I, structure my business. So I'm still at the helm, but at the self same time, I know that there are people there that can help me out.
How do you build a team? Like, what resources would you give to the aspiring entrepreneur? How do you build a team?
Well, you know, one of the things that I've done when working with people, you kind of develop certain relationships with different people, and you
Ooh.
know that there are certain ones that are able to handle certain tasks. It's kind of a trial and error because there's no one way to exactly do things because you know there may be a situation where um, you have someone that's not quite a perfect fit and you may have to let them go.
Mhm.
um, but for the most part, it's kind of a trial and error thing. And over the years, I've developed different relationships, and it's kind of like, okay, this fits into what I'm the direction I'm wanting to go with my business, and you just go from there.
Mm. That leads me into another question that I was going to ask about networking, because basically that's what you're
Okay.
doing. You have a social network or a business network.
hmm
Do you go to? I don't even know how that would align in your field. Do you go to mixers? Do you go to networking events, or how do you specifically network to find these people?
Yeah, I've done mixers in the past. I don't do them too often nowadays because like I said, I kind of have my team. But yeah, back in the day, I definitely went to mixers, different events, and you socialize and you meet with different people so that you can get an idea of where you want to go, where you what you want to do with your business.
Mm. Are you a part of a specific, what do you call them? I've got that down on my other list. Are you the part of any professional organizations as far as your type of work? I gotta go from my written notes to my Google notes here.
Okay.
Networking. How much, if any, networking do you do? You answered that. Let's see. What networking advice or recommendation would you give to others? Here we go. Are you part of any professional groups or organizations?
No, I'm not.
No? Okay. I know that if you were an artist, not an artist, if you were an actor, you might be part of something like the artist union. I keep saying artist, the actors union
hmm
or SAG, or if you did something else, you might be a part of another uh, group. I've got down here small business owners organizations, Chamber of Commerce, BBB. Some of this may not apply to you. How
hmm
would you recommend or advise others, either in this industry and others, to network? Like, how do you find? I'm
Um,
actually working on a video series, another video right now. Like, how do you know people? I think I put on the intro of that particular video. Like, sometimes they say it's not what you know, it's who you know. And I'm like, well, how do you know people? How do
mhm.
you start to get to know people and to grow a social circle of like-minded people?
Um, Again, it's a trial and error type of thing. As you go to different events and you meet with different people, you rub elbows, you have conversations, you do different things to uh, build a nucleus of individuals that are like-minded, that are um, pretty much working in the same vein as you are. So I mean, again, it's just one of those things where it's kind of like trial and error. There's no guide to exactly how you can do it because it's different for each individual.
Mm, how much time do you spend running your business as an entrepreneur? You have your own timetable. You're on your own schedule, on your own calendar. But how much time do you actually spend running your business, either day to day or throughout the week?
Um, it's a 24/7 thing. You know, when you work for yourself, you're always busy. You're always doing things. You're always um, taking care of projects or doing whatever. So it's not like a 9 to 5. You don't just clock out. When you're an entrepreneur, you're always busy, but it doesn't feel like work because it's something that you enjoy. So it doesn't feel like you're on the clock, around the clock. But it's like anything that you like to do.
You
If
get in
you
the
like
zone,
to
don't you?
sing or you like to paint, yeah, it's just once you get in your zone, it's kind of like the time just flies by and you don't even pay attention to it because it's a passion of yours. It's something that you love.
Mm. Speaking of time, how do you manage your free time? What do you like to do in your free time?
I like to travel. Of course, can't really do a whole lot of that now. Um, I like to travel. I like to read. Um, of course, I like to draw. I like to paint. Anything along the creative realm. That's what I
Mm.
like. So that's pretty much how I spend my time. I love listening to different music, watching different movies. Those are things that inspire me with my work. That's what gives me inspiration to do different things, watching different things and listening to different music.
Mm. And how do you make time for your actual personal life? Like, just how do you make time for personal life? Work, what do they call it? Work, family balance. Because as an entrepreneur, you are all in all the time. Like you said, you don't really clock out. But how do you manage personal life with professional life and making time?
Um, it's just something that you do. It's not, because I'm me regardless. So, I'm always going to make time to do things that I, personally just want to do. So it's not really that hard. If I just want to skip out in the middle of the day and go get something to eat or, meet up with some friends, I just do it. So it's not like I have to schedule to do it. It's just do it.
All right.
You know.
Let's see. Let me get more specifically into icons of the Bible. What kind of research did you do to model your characters after?
Well, for starters, I grew up in church. My mother was an evangelist. Um, so growing up in church and going to Bible camp in the summer, I hated it at the time, but as I got older, it sort of like paid off because it was something that helped with my research. I wanted the
Background.
characters to I wanted the characters to be as close to possible to what you read in the Bible.
Mm,
Instead of you just putting just any face with the character. I wanted it to be something where you read it and you said, wow, that person looks like the character that I read. And so I took about a year to research each character that I wanted to use. And after that, hey,
interesting that you say a year
we
because
moved
I'm
forward
reading
with
the
it.
Bible in a year. That's my goal. That was my New Year's resolution to read the Bible every
Okay,
day to familiarize
cool.
myself with it. Because I feel
Okay,
like we
cool.
all, at least most people that have some type of church background, we know the stories, we know the gist of it, we know something about it, but what do we really
Hmm.
know? And I think it's really important to read. At the end of every Bible reading, I do a little prayer, and I say I pray that everybody reads the Bible to get their own understanding, to come to their own understanding, build their own
Hmm.
faith and their own relationship. I think that is important to read so that you can so that you can really know, and so you can
Hmm.
understand. Let me see
Absolutely.
the next one. Color in the Bible, and now color
Hmm.
here and now. Talking about race relations and social justice. We had a conversation on the phone about that. How much does
Hmm.
what's going on in the world? How much does that influence your work, or rather, how much does your work represent what's going on as far as social justice and race relations?
Hmm. It's greatly influenced by what's going on. I am very outspoken when it comes to social injustices and racism. I feel that we should not still be having this conversation um, 52 years after the death of Dr. King. I think it's absolutely absurd that what they went through, we're still going through, and that's why I think that it is important that there are images out there to combat what is being shown. You know, as Black people, it's like we're often shown in a role of either servitude or either a role of step and fetch or a role of the underling, instead of important roles, instead of being prominent characters, instead of being regal. Um, I just think that it's important for us to be seen in a light where we can appreciate who we are, and that will change the conversation. You can't argue with a picture, you can't argue with an image. So that's important with changing people's perception of who we are, because a lot of races don't see us. They enjoy our culture and they fetishize us, but they don't necessarily see us. And that's a problem.
You cut out.
So I think that it is very important that, I'm sorry.
You cut out
So I
right
think
when
that
you
it's very
said
important that,
they like to enjoy, but that's the last part I heard.
say that one more time. I'm sorry.
Right before you cut out, the last part that you heard, that racists don't see us, but they like to enjoy. That was.
Yeah, they don't see us. They see um our culture. They enjoy our culture and they fetishize us. And by fetishizing, I mean you could have a person that is non-black married to a black person and says, "Oh, well, I understand the black struggle because I'm married to a black person," or "I have a child by a black person." It's like, no, that's not the same. That's the and how I break that down to them is this. It will be the same way as if I argued down a pregnant woman, telling her, "Well, I know your experiences as a pregnant woman. I know how it is to have a child. I know the morning sickness. I know the contractions and this, that, and the third." That is impossible because I will never know that. I will
Mm,
never know what a woman goes through because, number one, I'm not a woman. Number two, um, I have no idea what goes on in her body. So I could not argue her down and tell her her experience as a pregnant woman when I
mm,
will never have that experience. So that's the thing. Just because you fetishize us or you love our culture does not mean that you understand our struggle. Because at the end of the day, you still will never experience what we experience on a daily basis because we cannot take our skin off.
mm, mm. And that, so you have the icons of the Bible as
Mhm.
one way to express blackness, pro blackness, or just, I don't even know what to call it. But you also have another series called Kings. No, you have like two other series. I have that wrote down.
I, I have many series.
Oh, mini series. I only know about three.
Many series. I have Emancipation Degradation. I have Naked Black Justice. I have African Kings. I have Yoruba, African Orisha, which are the ancient deities of Benin and Nigeria. Um, I'm of Nigerian ancestry on my mother's side. Um, so, yeah, I have a lot of series that I do specifically because I want the younger generation to see themselves in a majestic light. The richest man that ever lived on earth was named Mansa Kankan Musa. Mansa Musa was the richest man that ever lived to date. No one has ever been richer than him. His estimation of wealth would have been more than $400 billion in today's money.
Mm,
So it's stuff like that. Hannibal. Hannibal was a black man who they still teach his fighting techniques at the Citadel and other places. People don't know
mm,
he was black. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't know Beethoven was black. Mozart was black. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people. The guy that wrote Three Musketeers, he was black.
mm.
So it's a lot of, we're hidden throughout history, and I think it's my job with what I do to bring that out. Queen Charlotte, I think I told you about her to go look her up.
I got the notes
Queen
on that one.
Charlotte, she was black. You know what I'm saying? She was a mulatto. So it's
Queen of
so
England.
many. We're all throughout history.
Hmm.
It's just we're not told our history, so we don't know.
Do
That's where
you?
I come in.
How do you? This might be a weird question, but how do you maintain a successful business based off of such a personal conviction? Because I think some people would be afraid to touch that, thinking that might affect my business. I just want to stay, profitable. Let me keep the status quo, or let me be PC. Like, how do you do that?
Okay, say
And I
that one
think
more time
especially as a
because it
lot of
spotted out. I'm
startup
sorry.
entrepreneurs, they don't want to take any risks. They just want to be clean, clean, keep their nose clean, and just make the money. Just make the money. Do whatever it takes to make the money. But you're so
Mhm.
convicted. how do you?
Um, I believe, as Nina Simone said, as an artist, it is our job to reflect the times in our work. I'm paraphrasing, but that is our job. And my thing is, I am thankful that my business has not been affected because of my views, because I have
Mm,
always been outspoken.
mm.
Um, I've always been radical, so to speak, when it comes to my views. But fortunately for me, I've still been blessed with my business.
Mm.
Um, do you know who patronizes me and buys most of my work?
I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna guess that it's not black people. I hate to see that. Who?
Hold on, you're breaking up. Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
I don't want to make an assumption. Based off of my own experiences, because we don't always support each other. I said I'm going to guess that it's not black people. I'm hoping I'm
It's
wrong. I
white
hope you're
people.
going to say,
Yeah.
actually, no.
No, no, it's white people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's who predominantly buys my work. Because, but the sad reality is we don't see the importance of what we do until they put a stamp of approval on it.
Validated.
Yeah.
Mm.
So that's the sad part. But yeah, but it's a lot of them. With my icons of the Bible, I have white churches and seminaries that reach out to me and they say, we want to teach from your images. We want permission because we know that the ones that we have are based upon lies,
Mm.
and yours are more historically accurate.
Mm.
So yeah, so I think it it's in my best interest to stay the way that I am, and that's to tell my truth and to speak what I feel that needs to be heard,
Mm.
because somebody's got to do it.
I'm going to switch gears from social justice to social health and safety, because we've also
Okay.
got layered on top of some of the most recent injustices going on. We also have COVID that's going on. So, what influence, if any, has the pandemic had on your work or your workflow?
It has affected it. It has affected it, but it hasn't affected it to the point where it has caused me um, to have to lose my business, so to speak. Um, I'm still able to operate in many ways, because I have lots of images that I previously shot,
Mm,
and those are things that I can currently put out now. And now, with this pandemic going on, people have been exploding my sales in my online store, because since the icons of the Bible went viral again, now everybody wants to order prints. So that's been very good for my business. So
mm,
yeah, so it's been a blessing in disguise.
mm.
Yeah.
Let's see. I've got a question about independent. There's lots of I would call them gig firms, like online gig firms. How do you feel about different platforms? I had a list. There's Fiverr, there's Upwork, but there's specific ones for artists, photographers, graphic artists. How do you feel about that gig type of platform for getting your work out?
Say that one more time. It was breaking up on my end. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna read it specifically from here this time. What is your opinion on platforms like Upwork and Fiverr that offer freelance and gig services pertaining to art, graphic artists, things like that? Do you think that they take value, or do you think they devalue the work, or do you think it's just another way for people to get themselves out there? Lots of online platforms to sell your work, things like that.
I think that they are beneficial um, to a certain extent. Um, because without them, a lot of folks would not have the opportunity to get their work out to the masses. So I think in a lot of ways they are beneficial. You just have to again pick and choose which one works the best for you. But I think that various platforms can be used to your benefit. You just got to know how to make it work for you.
Mm. How important is social media? How important is social media for your particular industry, and how much do you participate in it?
It is absolutely imperative. It's very important. That's 100% of my business. Is the visuals. That's how my visuals get out there to the world. So if it were not for social media, it would be very difficult for me to do what I do. So it's very
Mm.
important. Mhm.
Let's see. Well, you're already an outspoken person. This question was actually for me. That someone had asked me, how are you meeting these people, Kenya? How are you talking to these people? I said, I just asked them, and they say yes or they say no. This question was for you, but I don't think it really applies. How do you get comfortable with speaking with others? Actually, it does. I wrote this down based off of our conversation that you talked about the president of the company that you were under. How do you get comfortable speaking
Mhm.
with others who may be on a level above yours? How do you get comfortable? How do you not get intimidated? And why is this essential skill in entrepreneurship?
Um, I've never been intimidated to speak in front of other people. I've never, that's never been my problem. I've never had a problem speaking up for myself or speaking out for what I thought or what I believed. So I don't think it has anything to do with a person's position or whatever the case may be. We're all people at the end of the day. So I've never taken that. I've never had an inferiority complex in regards to speaking my mind and saying what I felt or how I felt or um, speaking my mind in regards to something. So, yeah, I've never had a problem with that.
All right, I have a few more questions to wrap up. Where do you see your business in the next 5 years or 10 years?
I see myself being a multimillionaire,
Mm.
possibly having a studio in Paris and one in the States. And I'll just travel back and forth and around the world. That's where I see myself.
How has
Oh, one thing I
tech?
left out.
No, go ahead.
I would like to open up an art gallery slash school for young entrepreneurs that are interested in my field of work, which is illustration, graphics, and photography.
Mm. How do you see your industry being influenced by technology, for the good or for the bad?
Okay, we broke up again. Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
How do you see your profession or your industry being affected by technology, for the good or for the bad?
It's all for the good. It's all for the
So,
good. Um, Technology just makes things easier to market yourself. It makes things easier for you to get out there to the masses. So I see it in always as very effective and welcomed, in my opinion.
best advice for new entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs?
Nothing to it but to do it. If you have something that you want to do, you won't know until you get out there. It's sink or swim. I can't give you a manual because there is none. You just have to make it work for you. But you won't know until you try.
Mm. Favorite, this is not really the speed round, but it's a bunch of fun questions at the end. Favorite foreign place
Okay.
to visit or that you would want to visit?
Ghana.
Why?
Um, I've always wanted to go to Ghana. I've had friends that have traveled there and they talked about how beautiful it was, and I wanted to go and experience it. I'd love to go to Ghana.
That is the particular African country that is doing, I think the last year or two is doing a welcome back home project. Is
Yes.
that not Ghana that's doing that right
Uh-huh.
now? Okay.
Yeah, they're doing like the dual citizenship. Yeah.
Mm.
So I would love to go there and get dual citizenship.
Mm. Let's see. How do you bounce back from failure?
Um, Again, you won't know until you fail, and then you know what to work on, polish it up, and try again. That's with anything. Learning how to ride a bike, learning how to drive a car, anything. You're not going to master anything right off the rip. It's always going to be trial and error. You're going to fall. You're going to scrape your knee. You're going to have to get back up, regroup, go back to the drawing room table, whatever they you know you want to call it, whatever you go back to, and you start again. But you never give up. You never give up.
So what does retirement look like for you? I know you told me about what you want to do the next 5 to 10 years and beyond, but what does retirement look
Hmm.
like for you?
Retirement looks like for me traveling around the world, doing just enjoying myself, taking pictures, laughing, meeting people, going to different museums, just living my best life. Yes.
Last book that you've read?
Say that again now.
Last book that you've read or a book that you would recommend to others?
The last book that I read, gosh, let me think. 'Cause I've read a few. Um, the last one that I read, that kind of just stood out to me because I like reading a lot of autobiographies was the autobiography of Malcolm X.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Would that be your book recommendation?
Yes, I would say definitely check it out.
Right. As far as your business, what is the funniest or most embarrassing thing that has happened within your business?
Oh God.
Oh no, you have something to choose from?
Yeah, some of them I don't think that are I want to repeat online.
Oh
Um, okay, I'll tell you a funny one. It's always humorous to me when people will send me images and they said, "Oh, James, I love this, and I think you would be the perfect person to recreate it," only to find out that the picture that they're sending me, I shot it.
no. Oh wow. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
What is your affirmation, mantra, prayer, or something that you go back to keep yourself grounded or centered, or just something that you like as far as something positive?
I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
Mm-hmm.
Learned that in church years ago.
Mm-hmm. Before I go through these chat questions, which I think you pretty much answered all the questions that were posted on there,
Okay.
but is there anything else that you would like to share? Specifically, something that people just don't know about your. I think I asked you this before. Something that people don't know about your field, or just something extra that you want to share to let people know.
Um, I can sing very well. I started singing and drawing at the same age. So I don't mention that a whole lot because most people are like, "Oh, can you sing something for me?" No. But yes, most folks growing up thought that I was going to be a singer. They
Really?
thought either I was going to do singing or drawing. But yep.
So you are just a
So my
creative
mom was a
all
singer.
around.
Mhm. Yes. So my mom used to sing. My mom was a singer, and my dad used to draw. So I got both their talents.
What?
Oh, and also I'm the baby. I'm the baby of seven, and my mom used to always say, "You got that because you're the seventh child. Seven is the number of completion." That's what she would always say
What?
to me.
That is
Yes.
amazing. What?
Mhm.
Okay, cool, cool. Let me see. I
Yes.
think you did answer most of these questions. I got one question. Let me put this up here. How did you advertise your business? Was it word of mouth, or did you pay to promote your brand? That's from Nicole.
Um, with my businesses, it was word of mouth. When you do something for some person and then they share it, and other people are just like, "Oh my God, who did that?" And that's where all of my businesses come from, word of mouth
Mhm. I got
on social
another
media.
question. I got another question from Nicole. How do you figure out, or how did you figure out the pricing in your business? I think that's an important question because I think sometimes we, especially as startup people, aspiring people, we undervalue ourselves. How did you figure
Mhm.
out your pricing?
Well, that's a tricky question because when you're doing something like that, you have to keep in mind that um, you can't charge what someone would charge that has been doing it for longer than you have, and that has a bigger portfolio than what you have. You see what I'm saying? So,
Mm,
for example, if there's somebody that shoots celebrities, you can't charge what they charge their clientele because that's their clientele, and their clientele has that money because they have gotten to that level. You're not to that level, so you can't start out charging $2,000 per shoot. You might want to do maybe a $75 special and build your way up. So it's one of those things where you gauge by who is in the demographic with you where you're starting. So if there's another photographer that has been shooting for, let's say, the same amount of time as you, or there's another photographer that started and he said, when I started, this is what I did when I started out. And when I started out, that's what I did. I used to do little specials for $5, little specials
mm.
for 150, Valentine's Day specials, Mother's Day specials. You do little things like that and you build your clientele. And then when it takes it to the next level, it's one of those things where it's a building process because you wouldn't just jump straight into business. It's the same with a baby. When a baby is born, you're not going to throw a baby a steak. They can't handle a steak.
Yeah. Let me
So
piggyback
they're
off
going to
that
start out
person's
with milk.
question.
Yeah.
Let me piggyback off that person's question. So, would you advise or recommend working for free ever? Why or why not?
I would say that's how I built my clientele initially because when I was working in corporate America, of course, I was already making money. So that took care of my bills. So what I
Ah,
started doing was I started hitting up models and saying, "Hey, I think you have a great look. Would you mind if I shot you? For some, you could have some pictures." And they said, "Sure." So they came over and we just collaborated. And then it got to a place where they were just like, "James, you're really good. you know, you should maybe start charging people because you're good. And I'm going to
mm,
refer my friends to you because I think you're good at what you do." And then it started from there. So then I started charging, and I felt kind of funny charging people at first because I didn't feel like I was a professional photographer. I just felt I was an amateur photographer.
mm.
And once I started doing it and I started building my clientele and people started telling me like, you're really good. You're really good at this. You should think about this as a career, but I was still working in corporate America and I was like, nah, it's just a side hobby. And then of course when I got laid off, I was like, well, let me try my hand at this. And there you go. But yes, I initially did start out doing free shoots to build my clientele so that people could know who I was and what I had to offer.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You might have answered this one already, but do you photograph landscapes, animals, or just people? That is the last question, ladies and gentlemen.
I have photographed all of those.
Oh,
Currently, I just photograph mostly people, but I have done landscapes and animals in the past as well. I've photographed everything: cars, houses, you name it. I've shot it.
what? All right.
Yes. Yeah.
That is it. That is all I have. And I'm going to wrap this up. I do appreciate being able to talk to you. I'm adding this to my repertoire. This is going in the Boss Files, my Business Owner
Uh-huh.
Spotlight series. Me, myself, I think I told you my backstory. This year will be 20 years working in the factory at a place which will
Mm.
remain unnamed, which will remain unnamed, but I'm trying to make my transition. And since I don't have a
Mhm.
business background, I'm trying to, I'm
Mhm.
self-taught. I'm learning things along the way. I'm sharing my experience with
Mhm.
others, and I'm bringing on as many people as I
Mhm.
can so that in this mixing pot of knowledge, hopefully other people wanting to work for themselves, be self-sustaining, can find some valuable information here. And I do thank you so much for adding to that pot of value with your experience, talking about your skills, talking about your motivations, and your projects and your passions. Thank you so much, Mr. James C. Lewis. For you
Well,
guys
I
who are
thank you for
watching
having
this
me.
live, you're the lucky ones. But make sure that you share this out with other people that can be exposed to Mr. Lewis's work and also the information that we discussed here. Like the video, share it out, subscribe if you have not already. Make sure if you have any other questions, if you have questions for me, leave them in the comments. I'll get back to you. If you have specific business inquiries, look for Mr. Lewis's information. You can either reach out to him through Facebook, through the website, or through email. All that information will be in the description box. And other than that, I thank you, sir. I thank you so very much. God bless you in your work. And yes, I pray that more people are exposed to you so that people can know there's more than meets the eye to the Bible. I hope I didn't say that the wrong way or sound offensive, but there's more than meets the eye to the Bible. Read, people, read. You gotta read. Read, come to your own understanding. Do a little bit of research. We did talk about that on the phone yesterday too. How important it is to know what you're talking about. Know what you're
Absolutely.
talking about. Read and find things out and learn. Uh, that's all
Well, I
I've got.
appreciate you having me.
Okay, thank you so much. At this moment, we're gonna sign off. Thanks for watching 40 Entrepreneur Drive. My name is Kenya. My guest is Mr. James C. Lewis. I'll see you guys either in the next Boss series. You can watch this in the playlist, 40 ED Boss, or in one of my next upcoming videos. Thanks so much, you guys. See you next time. All right, you guys, thank you so much. Leave your comments and feedback in the comments section. Subscribe if you have not already. Share this out so that other people can watch it. And thank you for your time.
Welcome to the live stream. And now it's time for the Business Owners Spotlight Series.